Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite champions in Raid Shadow Legends. This guide has been long overdue. We are of course talking about Whisper. Now back in the day, if you were playing years and years ago, you could get Whisper from the Amazon Prime promotion, not the recent one, the one before that. And you could basically get this champion. She was introduced as part of that promotion. Now, what is so cool about Whisper is she, in my opinion, is one of the premium boss killers in this game. If you take out Acrizia and you take out Ninja, she can decimate bosses much quicker than many other champions in the game. Now, why is she able to do this? Well, firstly, she's got a passive that has a 20% chance, 20% increased damage on bosses. So straight away, whenever she's attacking a boss, she deals 20% more damage. That is a crazy damage stimulus to begin with. Then we also have this kind of cool mechanic where if she attacks an enemy under decreased defense and weaken, she will get an extra turn. Now this is attacks one enemy 2 times on a 4-turn cooldown. She also has an A1 that grants a 75% chance of placing a big weaken. And the more important thing, and this is why she is a boss killer, she attacks one enemy, places a 50% increased attack buff and a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 2 turns before attacking. If this target has a higher max HP than this champion, most bosses will of course have that, will ignore defense if the target is under weaken. So there's 3 important factors of this ability. This is what makes her so good. Firstly, she does these buffs before she attacks, so you don't need to run her at 100% crit rate. You can run her at 70% crit rate because she will always have these buffs available. Because even though it's on a 2-turn cooldown, she will go A2 here into A3. If there's decreased defense, she'll get an extra turn. So she'll A1. After she A1s, the buffs falls off, but then she comes back to the A2 and replaces those buffs. So you can always run at 70% crit rate, and you always have a self-buff and increased attack, so you don't need to have an increased attack champion on your team for her to maximize her damage. The second component is she ignores all of the target's defense if there's a weaken. It doesn't have to be her weaken, it has to be a weaken. So as long as there is weaken out on the target, she ignores 100% defense. That is insanely powerful for killing bosses. This will hit incredibly hard, and I'm going to show you in different places how hard it really hits. Thirdly, it's a 3-turn cooldown. She also gets 25% damage from books there, and she also gets 30% damage from books there, so she can scale incredibly hard. We also have an increased attack on all dungeons by 29%. That's quite high for an epic. And I've put her in a 3-star Phantom Touch because obviously she is attack-based damage. So how have I built her? Well, I have built her a little bit with defense tree because, lasting gifts isn't really needed. The buffs are always up all the time. And she is quite squishy, so having a little bit of reducing AoE attacks, having the delay death, having those abilities to counterattack as well is quite nice to try and get some weaken out. It just makes it a little bit safer. If you're using it in Hydra, do not run this deterrence. It's a really bad idea because of the Torment Head. Then I'm just running it down a standard kind of build for, if I remove my head here, standard damage dealing build here for bosses. We basically take War Master, we're going to take Cycle of Violence because we're going to be hitting really hard on that A2, and just all the HP percentages. The life drink is nice to help you heal. Now the other cool thing that I have built her in is I've put her in a Blood Shield banner. Because you hit so hard on that A2, you can build some really big shields on her to give her more effective HP. In Hydra specifically, this is incredibly powerful. I'm going to show you exactly how that works. So I've got her built Giga Charged. She is at 7,000 attack, 193 speed, and 262% crit damage. Now you'll notice the accuracy is quite low. I often prefer to have her hit harder, but bring someone else for the weaken. She can place the weaken with an increased accuracy buff, but it's just better that you have a more reliable weaken champion than her A1 because it's not 100%, it's only a 75% chance. It's good enough, but it's not 100% chance. So I prefer to bring someone like a Venus, a Lydia, someone who can basically guarantee that the weaken is always out, and then you can just go ham and push as much damage stats as you can. Now, I've put her in Relentless set. She is one of those champions where if you have a guaranteed chance of getting an extra turn, Relentless value skyrockets. Why? Because Relentless works alongside extra turn mechanics and skills. A skill and a set bonus works as separate roles. So effectively, we could get a bonus chance of getting an extra turn because we get an extra turn. How do I mean by that? So when we do the A2, there's no extra chance of extra turns, it's 18%. When we do the A3, we get an extra chance. We get an 18% chance that when she uses A3, she gets an extra turn, plus she gets the extra turn here. So we get more rolls of getting back round to the Relentless, which means that Relentless value increases. So any champion like Mr. Edadaithi, Necmo Thar, Whisper, any champion that gets this guarantees chance to get an extra turn, Relentless is incredibly valuable on them. So I've got her in Relentless because really what I want to do is try and chain her abilities. If I can Relentless her back around to this ability, we can get more of these A2s out and we can really ramp up the damage. So that's the damage I've got her in. The gear she is in is probably one of the better gear I've got. Like, I got this ring, this amulet the other day. It's really powerful for her because attack with crit damage is really good, and I got a double roll on Acrizia. It's one of the best mythical, if probably the only decent mythical piece I've ever got so far with the new hard dungeons. She's in a pretty average ring. I should probably look to see, I could probably look here and see if we could get some better rings, because probably I haven't rolled some of these new rings I've got here. If we can get a triple roll, then obviously it makes a big difference. Double roll, not quite there. We're still looking for that holy grail of triple rolls. You could, if you wanted to, go refresh. Absolutely fine to do that. If this rolls double roll attack, then it would potentially be better. But I still feel like stats over sets a little bit when it comes to Whisper, because she does everything within her own abilities, right? You wouldn't want to sacrifice. I'd have to basically sacrifice a good chunk of attack here to be able to get a refresh. So yeah, we're still looking for the holy grail on the ring. Double roll is okay, but really we want a triple roll, right? And none of these pieces have got anywhere near that. So that's kind of like what we're looking for, is a triple roll attack percentage. If it is in refresh, great. If it's not, well, it's not the end of the world. We've also got her in an attack banner with double roll attack percentage, and as I said, blood shield for that ability. We've got her here in a relentless set. We've tried to get some ascending, but you can see only the boots really worked well. I should really work on getting these boots up. We've got some pretty good rolls here: crit damage, crit rate, triple attack percentage, double speed, crit damage, attack. These are some of my better Relentless pieces because she is my premier boss killer. I don't have an Acrizia, so I have to go and look at other options. So let's take her for a spin. One of the areas I would say right now she's really valuable is for this Dark Fae boss, right? Dark Fae is all about keeping the turn meter down and then killing it as quickly as possible. So when we run this fight here, I'm using Fulgur to basically do the clone killing job. That could be a Herndig, it could be someone else. What we've got here is Whisper as the Acrizia. So you can see we kind of get through this wave. The waves are really tanky. I don't know why we have to have coronars on waves. It's really bad. But what we're going to do is we just want to get to the boss, and then we can actually see how it's going to work. So we've got to the boss now. So what should happen is Lissandra should boost, and then we get the Fulgur, full nuke, great. And then we should hopefully get the decreased speed. There's the weaken going out. And now watch what happens here. We get Relentless proc, extra turn, another proc, another extra turn, another extra turn. This is why Whisper is insane. She's just taken 25 or 30% of the boss's HP in one set of actions. 329,000. This is hard 80. This is the highest Dark Fae I can get at the moment. This is Doom Tower hard 80 Dark Fae, and she is destroying the boss. Absolutely annihilating it. Now, the thing with Dark Fae is normally you can keep the turn meter down, but eventually the turn meter does creep up, especially at 120 hard. So you really want to try and kill it as quickly as possible. That's why Acrizias are very popular. And also you don't want to spend all of your day running Dark Fae. But you can see it. She's just absolutely decimated the boss. Absolutely decimated it. 1.7 million damage. Fulgur obviously is in there because she's doing a lot of AoE damage, so she's always going to be high up. But that is the value of Whisper in this particular team. She replaces the Acrizia. She comes in and does pretty good job. If you can get some good extra turn cycling, she can get this down really quickly. You can see my best time is 1 minute 44. I'm averaging around about that. And she is great for this role. Where else is she really good? I think she is one of the better Hydra champions also. She is currently in my Hydra boss team, where I use her in, I think, Brutal. I can never remember which setup I've got here. She's currently in my Brutal clan boss team as one of my main damage dealers, obviously alongside Michinaki. Again, I'm using Lydia to provide the setup. So this is kind of awkward because we've got the Torment Head. So the goal of what we want to do here is we want to kill a head, and then we want to get lots of extra turn cycling from the Whisper on that dead head, because she will hit an insane amount of damage. So we've got to basically work our way through here. I'm going to try and get a head nearly killed, and then we'll jump back in. Okay, so we've got a dead head here now. So we're in the situation where what we need to do is hopefully get background to Lydia's decreased attack. We kind of killed it in an awkward turn meter, which isn't ideal. What we really want to do right now is just try and get some more uptime on this this head here. Luckily, we've got the setup we need, so we're back around. Now, hopefully, we are going to be able to get a decreased speed on it, and we're going to see if Whisper can really go absolutely ham. Here we go. So we don't have any other abilities, which really kind of is annoying, but you can see 442,000. If we got an extra turn there, we could have power cycled some damage. But luckily now we can try and get through and kill some of these other heads. Maybe we can take out the Mischief head whilst we are here. Torment head setup is always a bit frustrating. This rotation is not the best for it because I do have an awful lot of counterattack champions which kind of fear themselves. And that is always a risk that could happen, which is not ideal. So now we need to kill this fear head, ideally. There is a provoke head, but it's okay because we've got some good provoke options. We could probably spread this on him, make sure he doesn't get cleansed. And hopefully we can get back around to Michinaki so the Michinaki can remove a bunch of buffs. That's what we need to happen right now. We need this A3 back, which we don't have because we've got Poison Cloud now. So this is why this rotation is really frustrating, because actually we might fail because of this setup where we've had the Poison Cloud into the block buffs and everything else. So we actually cannot really do much damage to this Torment head right now. We are somewhat in a bit of a spot of bother. We can't remove those buffs because of the Poison Cloud head. But we should have enough time to get it back out. So let's see if we can get back around to another cycle where a head is about to die. We've managed to recover somewhat. We just now need to get all of these different setups. We're going to try and prioritize kill this Torment head because it's always a nightmare to try and get rid of this head. It'd be nice if we could also get some spreading of the HP burn. But the good news is here we have got to pick a target with decreased defense and weaken. There isn't really anyone out. So we might as well not get feared. Attack this head over here for the time being. This Mischief head is out of control right now, so we need to kind of try and get back under control. We don't really have an AoE block buffs. What I will probably do is, now that I have got a second Ugo would probably come in here to replace one of probably the Skull Lord. Right now the Skull Lord is in here as a coverage for provoke. We'd probably bring in the secondary Ugo to try and mitigate some of this block stealing buffing. It's really a bit of a nightmare. But hopefully we can kill the Torment head. We've got decreased defense and weaken. So now you can see the power of this set. So we're going to use that life drinker healing. We're also then going to come in and absolutely one-shot this. 335,000 on a non-dead head. And now we just need to try and get some damage out. So this is where we want to try and get some speed rotation. Nekmothar would make this so much better. She isn't in my Nightmare team where I have Nekmothar, but Nekmothar would help get her back around to her abilities much faster, which is kind of what you want to do, right? You want to get her having more uptime on these dead heads. That's the goal. You want to have as much uptime as you can possibly get on the dead heads so that you can get more of her abilities going. We didn't get decreased speed there, which is unfortunate. So now we just need to get back and hopefully we get another turn. I don't think we will because the dead head cycles have not been ideal. We do get the weaken and decreased speed here, but I think it's not going to work okay. But we can kill this poison head in a second. This poison cloud has been quite frustrating to deal with. We might get back round to one more A3. We might. Oh, we don't quite. This is where you pray for the extra turn. We got it. Right, okay, so here we go. This is where Whisper becomes Super Saiyan. Watch this go. 346,000 double time. Another A1 here. 1 million damage near enough. 1 million damage. That is what you can do. I have seen her at times take 6 extra turns in that moment. And if you can get that going, that is where strength and power really comes. Now, Suffering Head is a much better setup here than the Torment Head. Now, I have one keyed Brutal with Whisper. This is just a very bad run, unfortunately. And that is kind of the nature of the beast with Hydra, I would say. This is what the situation you're going to face with Hydra. Sometimes you just get bad RNG. Poison Cloud's going into Eating, Poison Cloud's into different things, ally protection. So we can end the battle without using the key, just to see over the, what is it? Let's see. Over 57 turns, how much damage did Whisper contribute? 5 million damage. So Michinaki was outdealing her, but she never really had the optimal time. If she got a couple more dead heads up, that is where it's going to work. Now, this is not the greatest sample test, but let me see if I can find a screenshot of a run that I did previously. So I've been able to find some of my old hard Hydra runs. You can see here, hard, I got a 15.9 million, out damaging a to a Messiah. And this was on, I think, around 44 turns. It's really, really quick team to run it with. This was good RNG. We also have another hard run here, 17 million damage, out damaging a Venus and everyone else. She is excellent for Hydra, even if I didn't have a good RNG run on the actual playtest run. Really, what I should do with these types of things is record a run when I get some good optimal. But if you check my live streams, you will have seen sometimes I'll go 7 runs on that deadhead and just do 1 million after 1 million damage. It's really powerful. So that's Hydra. Where else is she really powerful? Well, she has a very good niche. If you do not have a Little Miss Annie and you do not have an Acrizia, then she can wreck the Sand Devil at stage 7. Now, why stage 7? For those of you who don't know, the majority of the way that you deal with artifact ascensions, you need to find first the pieces that you want to take to rank 6 ascension. That requires more lesser oil than any other potion. You will probably spend more lesser oil finding the pieces to actually get yourself to a position where you then want to use your greater and superior oil. So that means you need to farm lots and lots of lesser oil. And there is no better stage than stage 7 in terms of oil per energy for efficiency to get that lesser oil than stage 7. So actually having a 10-second or 11-second farm team on stage 7 is probably one of your first things you want to do in Sand Devil before you go all the way up to trying to get that 24 and 25 team done. So I run a very, very quick stage 7 team. Now, I could run it quicker if I had Little Miss Annie. She's the only champion that I know that can one-shot the boss. But in this instance, we're using Whisper. So the idea with this team is we use Muckstalker to set up the sleep so that we can then debuff with Riho's A2. It doesn't have to be Riho. You want someone who's got decreased defense and weaken with lots and lots of debuffs, right? You could probably drop the Scartorsis and bring some more debuffs. Like, it's viable that you could go someone like a Dracomorph into a Taurus or a Venus into a Taurus. Basically, you want to have these 2 slots here, the 2 legendaries, providing you lots and lots of debuffs, because the more debuffs you have on the boss, the less damage reduction he has. Luckily, I've got Riho, so I can just do it all in one go. It's not so bad. Sleep into debuff into double nuke. So I'm using Franox here. Franox has this ability where she'll inflict 100% more damage against targets without any buffs. So it's a massive nuke. And then we are using Whisper. And there are some quirks with Whisper's abilities that kind of work here. Because she gets an extra turn when you attack a target with decreased defense and weaken, so it's important you bring a target with that, she can basically wake the boss and still go before the boss takes a turn. Why? Because she's got an extra turn. So you'll see how quickly this runs. As long as Riho doesn't 3% one of her debuffs, which she can do from time to time, this is pretty much a 10-second farm team. So we go Sleep, into Riho debuffs, which she didn't 3%, which is great, into increased attack, boom, and then Whisper's going to go 1, 2, and then absolutely annihilate it. Overkill. 11-second farm. She's actually one of the best champions for this role. The reason why we're using Scartorsis, I'm running my Whisper at 70% crit rate, so I needed a champion that could do increased attack and increased crit rate very quickly, and Scartorsis has one of the fastest animations with those buffs to provide it for the Whisper. So you can see this is a repeatable farm. The only time that it's a real problem is if Riho doesn't land decreased defense or weaken. If she doesn't land one of the debuffs because she 3%. Franox is there just to make sure that we definitely one-shot it, and boom. So Franox is interchangeable with another damage dealer. Riho and Scartorsis is interchangeable. It's all flexible. Muckstalker is a farmable rare from the campaign, but that's another area in where she is incredibly strong. Now, she isn't going to be a champion you would use in the arena. That's not really her forte. Her job is to kill bosses really quickly. So if you want her in something like a Griffin, she can do the job. If you want her in something like an Eternal Dragon, she can do the job. Sorath, she does the job. The only thing you've got to be careful of, her base stats are very squishy. 793 defense is very low. So you have to try and keep her alive. So you need a team around her to keep her alive. But I use her against those very high-powered bosses to basically kill an enemy, and she is in my regular brutal Hydra team. So there you go, guys. Whisper, a champion that you might have laying around in your vault because she's one of the older champions. So if you've been pulling Void Shards for 2 years, you probably got her. That actually has a lot of potential in today's current boss meta issues. If you haven't got that Acrizia and you need something to kill a boss very quickly, Whisper is right up there with one of the best champions for that role. I actually could not speak highly enough of her. I think she's so good. Let me know in the comments below, guys, if you are using Whisper or if you are going to use Whisper after watching this video. And let me know if you are using it in an area that I haven't mentioned in this guide. I will try and do sort of a weekly champion guide going out, but it may not be always the case, depends on how busy the patch windows are. But I do want to try and do some more champion guides on the channel to try and give people some thoughts and ideas about champions they may not be using. So if you want to see more of those things, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and then those videos will come through to your feed, and it will hopefully tell me that this is type of content you guys really want to see from this channel. But until the next video, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.